Okay, guys, we're doing more strategies, right? Some from love, some from fear. So everybody is going to think this one is from love. I am going to talk to you about why it's from, maybe not fear, because fear is kind of like it's kind of a tough term for this one. But it is definitely not out of love, although it is used often and people talk to me about it often. They try to convince me often, and I want to convince you the other way, that it's not love, and maybe we'll call it not love. Maybe that's what we'll call it. We won't call it fear. We'll call it not love. So are we ready? Take a deep breath in, a deep breath out. If you need to, sit down, because I'm ready. I told my husband when I was doing this one today, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get it. People are gonna be shooting texts to me, emails to me, telling me that, like, no, you're wrong, you're wrong. So I want you to open your mind, right? Like when you were little, right? Put on your thinking cap. Okay, take it off and open your mind. And we're gonna think how this one is not love. Are you ready? The marble jar. I know, did you all just like, what? Okay, the marble jar. So the marble jar is, you get a jar, and we, when I taught kindergarten, right, I taught kindergarten for 10 years. When we did this, we called it the kindness jar. And every time someone did something kind, they got a marble. Not like the marbles I lost a long time ago, but a marble like the glass beads that you get for dried flower arrangements that you can get at like AC Moore in the dollar store, and they come in all different colors, and kids love them. They would get one of those and they'd put them in the jar. And when it was full, you'd get a party. So everybody's like, why is that not good? That one is out of love. Okay, so here's the first reason it's out of not love, right? We're not going all the way to fear, but here's some reasons why it's not love. So we want kids to do things kind for others. We want kids to do kind things intrinsically and be intrinsically motivated to do it. Like someone drops their pencil case, they're gonna go and pick it up because that helps the kid, and the kid says thanks so much, and that's all they get, and they feel good that they helped another. We don't need it to be extrinsic, where you get something. It needs to be intrinsic, right? Right, we talked about in one of my videos past, Daniel Pink's book, Drive on Motivation. If you have any, if you're trying to think of extrinsic, intrinsic motivation, that's a good book to read. Another one is kids are more kind than they're not kind. So if we were going to fill a marble jar, and when you fill it up, you'd have a party, I always ask people, how many parties would you have a day? And they're like, 0. And I was like, no, I beg to differ. You would have 100 parties. And people are like, why 100? Because kids are more kind than they're not kind, except we're doing, right? We couldn't do a marble jar the way we need to do it in real life, because we would be giving marbles all day long and we would get nothing done. Because kids are doing kind stuff all the time, except what's happening? I'm scaffolding play, or I'm doing a reading group over here, and all these kids are doing kind stuff over here, and what are we saying? We don't see it. So a kid comes over and asks us, I just did something kind, and then I hear teachers say you can't ask. I didn't see it. For me, I'm thinking those kids get to look at the teacher and be like, then focus, I am doing good, kind stuff over here, and you are not watching me. You're not watching all my kind stuff. So if we were doing all the kind stuff all day, we would have 100 parties a day, because kids are more kind than they're not kind. So when I taught kindergarten, we had a jar, and it was only like this big, and I remember it had like scalloped edges on it. It was only like this big. And it was the third to last day of school. And right this big, it was only filled to like here. Because the kids weren't being kind? No, because I was doing other stuff and I have squirrels and I forget. So unless a kid asked or said something, I always, yeah, you can have one. If you did something kind, tell me all about it, and I would put it in, right? I fell into it. The third to last day of school, what happened? We were only like this far up. So now we feel terrible because we're basically saying you're not kind. Because we couldn't even fill the jar in the whole year. But it's really that we were preoccupied in doing other stuff. And then I was like Oprah, the third to last day of school, the second to last day of school, and the last day of school. Because that's when we had our party planned, because we had to make up for all that lost time, I was like, Oprah, I'm like, you get a marble and you get a marble and you get a marble. Everybody's having marbles. Why? Because we needed to fill it up because we felt terrible. We felt terrible about it. So the last day of school, we had a party. And this little boy comes up to me and he goes, I know what you're doing. And I was like, what do you mean, bud? Right? He had that 85% of your successes in people skills. He had a strong 85%. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you just forgot about the marble jar. Now you feel bad, so you're just giving out marbles so we can have a party. Busted. That's exactly what we were doing. And he knew it was all pretend and fake. The other part of the marble jar that makes it not love is that teachers will say, well, they have to be like over, above, and beyond kind. Do they know that? And did we talk about what's above and beyond kind and what gets you a marble and what doesn't get you a marble? And now we're setting up a competitive classroom. So no, you have to do like up here kind. It can't just be like regular kind. So then what happens? Every kid's trying to do kind stuff for somebody else and outdo the other kids because they don't know how big kind is and little kind is. And now you have a kindness jar and you have kids being competitive in kindness, but you're not really watching because you're doing other stuff because you're a teacher, and it just gets really jumbled. So the kindness jar or the marble jar is not essentially love. It's not love. It's not exactly fear, but it is something that we're going to stay away from. Right? Kindness is, right, I think people also do it as a jar because kindness shouldn't ever be a curriculum or a theme. It should be for always. But we have to teach kids to do it internally. What's the feeling I get when I help somebody and I'm kind to them? Then we talk about friendships. Then we talk about compassion and love. And we don't do it because you get a marble and at the marble you get a pizza party. That's not even real life. I'm kind all the time. My husband's kind all the time. My mom's kind all the time. My son's kind all the time. And I have not had a party in my entire life for being kind. I have a little party every time in my head. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on up there with those squirrels, but they are always having kindness parties. But it's because I feel good. You know, the time I felt best is there was a man on the side of the road. I go to Manchester and there's, right when I get off the exit, there's a man and he holds a, it was really cold out and he was holding a sign. He was homeless. And I know you guys can say, well, he wasn't homeless. Don't give him money. All that stuff. I gave him money. I gave him $5. And he was so happy and he was so kind to me for being kind to him. It made my entire day. I had like butterflies and I could have like jumped out of my skin. I felt so good that I helped that man. And I don't care what he buys with it. I don't think of that stuff. It made his day, it made my day, and I had a little party in my head. I didn't have a party out loud. I didn't have a party. There wasn't a pajama party or a pizza party or an ice cream party. It was just because I'm trying to help fellow humans get to a different place. Like I'm hoping fellow humans help me to get to a different place. So let's think differently about marble jars. Let's think of intrinsic motivation. Let's use language and catch kids doing things kind. And what does that sound like? Not like, good job being kind, buddy. Like, whoa. That's what I was thinking about that. Look at that. Kindness in this classroom. Wow. I'm feeling good about it, but I bet you feel so good about that. I bet that's something you're going to tell maybe at dinner tonight. Maybe you can write it in a journal. Wow, I could help you write it down if you wanted to remember to tell your mom when she comes pick you up or put it in your backpack so you could tell her when you get home. Right? That stuff is way better than, hey, you get a marble, right? Let's stop being Oprah. Let's start being real, genuine humans. I'm not saying that Oprah's not a real, genuine human. I'm just saying that we don't need to hand them out like Oprah. Let's figure out how kids can have this internal kindness. Okay, guys? Thanks so much. Happy Monday. See you in a little bit. Bye.